Good afternoon everyone, thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. Big shout out to everyone doing that, you guys are legends. I'm uploading a bit later than I wanted to today. It's been a particularly hectic and busy morning to say the least. Hence the coffee at this, even though it's 4 o'clock. But wanted to give a quick, little video on my thoughts. It's probably going to be not the longest, but on the events last night in the Matchroom pay-per-view, Chisora versus Parker, it wasn't the best, as it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I was really excited for it, but it was a bit mediocre. Couple of honourable mentions though to Katie Taylor and Nat Jonas. Her fight, that was fight of the night for me, easy. Katie Taylor for me now is a pay-per-view star. She should not be on any undercard anymore. Like, she really is going to be a big draw in the future, particularly if they can get her out there with, some of the other girls that Matchroom have. I mean, Shannon Courtney's still there. Clarissa Shields, if she moves up in weight, there's huge. She is going to be quite one to watch in the future. Dmitry Bivol as well. He looked fantastic in his fight. For me, the next logical thing is to make Bivol versus Bertabiev like Eddie Hearn. Make that fight now. I mean, credit to Craig Richards for that fight, because he did do himself proud despite the loss. But Bivol just levels above. Bivol Bertabiev for light heavyweight division needs to happen. And also to Morrison, who fought Chris Eubank Jr. Like, Eubank looked alright, but it seems to be like a new version of Eubank Jr. a little bit better. But Eubank's opponent Morrison really deserves credit. I mean, I thought he was done in the fourth, but he showed really, true grit. He's got the heart of a lion, that kid. Despite the knocks he'd taken, he just kept going. He, despite the loss, really did himself proud. So my respect. All right, so with that out of the way, we'll talk about Chisora Parker. I mean, this fight I thought was going to be kind of a bit of a slog. I knew it would be a 12-rounder, but I thought it'd be better than it was. Rounds 1 to 4, Chisora was very aggressive. He scored a knockdown in the first 40 seconds, right? But it shouldn't have counted because it was an illegal punch. I'm a Chisora fan and I wanted him to win, but I will admit that should not have counted. He hit him literally like there, which shouldn't be happening in boxing. That's dangerous. It's a rabbit punch, they call it in the streets. But Parker, again, he's too nice, doesn't complain. So, just not as good. He really should have been kind of a bit more annoyed. That should have annoyed him, and he should have really went for it. Parker was too passive, and Chisora trying this peekaboo style where he's coming in low and just throwing huge hooks, right hands, lefts. It's just all hooks. But Parker seemed to hold a lot. He was the bigger of the guy, but he just was less aggressive. Chisora, just no fear, no respect at all for Parker's power. He didn't really seem to care at all what the ref had to say. He was warned a couple of times for them rabbit punches. Chisora's just a lump of a guy, isn't he? I mean, he looks like a rugby player or a nightclub doorman or something like that. He's just an absolute unit. If he finishes boxing, he could easily become, switch careers to one of them. Which I think he should. Not switch careers, but I think he should actually finish after that fight. Because I don't know where he's going to go from here, because he lost again. Some people thought he won. Like, some people are saying Chisora got robbed. I was kind of mixed. I would have honestly scored it a draw, really. I thought they were both equally poor. Parker's kind of jab was it was just meh, really, for me. He wasn't throwing the right enough, and when he did throw the jab and then land the right, he would actually throw some good combinations, but he didn't keep the pressure on. Chisora was the one setting the pace. It got very sluggish. And then you got through rounds 5 to 9. Again, Chisora was just the aggressor. Parker didn't really have much in terms of options. Whenever Chisora, they got on the ropes quite a lot, which was kind of a bit disappointing for me. And it just led to holding all the time. Just holding, which I hate in fights. Hughie Fury does it a lot. Vladimir Klitschko used to do it all the time. We know how stale he became in the later years of his career. And it just became a bit boring. That for me was when the fight kind of, it just became a bit dull. You know, and then when we go over to the championship rounds, like, Parker's lack of ability at that point just showed me that he's gone backwards. He really isn't the fighter he used to be. He's now looks more amateur than he did before, and I don't know what it is, because he's with Andy Lee. Andy Lee's a fantastic coach. He's, you know, world champion himself, former world champion anyway. He only had losses to, I think it was, he lost to Eubank and Billy Joe, but that's commendable. You know, they're world champ. Well, Billy Joe's a former world champion anyway. When you compare Taylor versus Jonas to the main event, there was just levels to it. Personally, I don't think this fight should have been pay-per-view. It was just Chisora throwing huge hooks constantly, Parker throwing the odd jab, the odd right, and then hugging. It was a messy, ugly fight, to be honest. But when Parker unloaded on Chisora would be hurt and he backed off. It would be the perfect opportunity for Parker to step up, but he didn't continue that pressure because he's not aggressive enough. I think that comes partly down to personality, but also I just don't think he's trained to be that way. He focuses more on skill, but he doesn't actually use it that much. I mean, personally, I'm off the Joseph Parker bandwagon. You know, when it comes to the end of this fight, I think Chisora needs to retire. I like Del Boy a lot, but he has taken a lot of punishment over the past 2 years. When we think about, you know, Dillian Whyte, Usyk, you know, he's been in there with heavy hitters like David Price. He's been in there with Parker. There's talk of a rematch. No thanks, not interested. Genuinely don't want to see it. Not bothered. Because Chisora is such a likable, entertaining guy. For me, he should do the same as Tony Bellew and go into commentary, because I think he could be perfect, absolutely perfect. He's balanced, he's likable, he's funny. He could do that, no problem. Chisora's style as well has gone very stale and predictable. Like I said, he just throws the same hooks all the time. You know, he could, with that right, overhand right that he used, you know, that's his favourite. He could send a letter and let them know it's coming. It's that obvious. Parker got the win, but again, Parker wasn't too impressive either. You know, I think he's lost his touch. I like him. He's still a nice lad. He's still, you know, kind of a good guy, but he's just got no aggression. And personally, he's not a top 10 fighter for me anymore. Top 15, but I don't put him in my top 10. Whenever Parker brought that aggression, he turned it on, but he didn't ever keep it up. And he's not going to get into the mix with the top 10 by doing that. Whenever Chisora was there for the taking, he just wouldn't. So Parker, again, disappointing here, like he was in the AJ fight, in the Dillian Whyte fight. You know, yeah, just not the best main event personally. So for me, Chisora needs to retire. Parker should not headline a Matchroom pay-per-view again. I don't think he's world level. I don't think he'll get there again. So, you know, a bit disappointing, but this is boxing and you can't have everything. So I will see you next week for Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. That one I am really excited for. I think that's going to be an absolute belter. And let's hopefully we get a brilliant night of boxing then. So have a good week. God bless and peace.